I'm 78 years old. And this morning I discovered I'd paid my electric bill 3 times last month and forgotten to pay my phone bill at all. I was sitting at my kitchen table with bank statements spread out, trying to make sense of numbers that wouldn't add up, looking at transactions I didn't remember making, and I felt this cold wave of panic wash over me. Because this wasn't the first time. My checkbook hasn't balanced in months. I've been getting late notices for bills I thought I'd paid. And yesterday I found 4 uncashed checks in a drawer. Money people had sent me that I'd completely forgotten about. And I realized, sitting there surrounded by financial chaos I couldn't untangle, that I'd lost control of something fundamental. I can't manage my own money anymore. It started small, the way these things always do. Maybe 6 or 7 months ago, I'd occasionally forget to write down a check in my register. Or I'd pay a bill and forget I'd already paid it. Small mistakes, the kind anyone could make. Nothing to worry about, just senior moments. I'd catch the errors eventually, fix them, move on. No big deal. But the errors started multiplying. I'd look at my checkbook and the balance would be completely wrong. Off by hundreds of dollars sometimes. I'd tried to reconcile it with my bank statement and couldn't figure out where the discrepancy came from. Checks I didn't remember writing. Deposits that seemed wrong. Numbers that didn't match anything. And instead of addressing it, I just stopped looking. Stopped trying to balance my account. Told myself the bank would catch any real problems. I live alone. I've lived alone for 14 years since my husband died. And living alone after 70 means you're entirely responsible for your own finances. No one else is checking your work. No one else is noticing when things don't add up. No one else is making sure bills get paid on time and money gets managed properly. You're on your own. And when your ability to handle money starts failing, everything can unravel very quickly. Have you noticed this happening? Numbers getting confusing? Bills slipping through the cracks? Your financial life becoming harder to track? I started getting phone calls about overdue bills. The credit card company, the insurance company, utilities threatening to shut off service. And I'd be genuinely surprised, because I thought I'd paid those bills. Would even find cancelled checks that seemed to prove I had. But the amounts would be wrong, or the dates would be off, or I'd paid the wrong company entirely. My financial life was falling apart, and I couldn't quite grasp why or how to fix it. When was the last time managing your money felt straightforward? When did paying bills stop being routine and start being confusing? My daughter came over to help me with my taxes and discovered the mess. Bank statements that didn't match my records. Bills paid multiple times. Bills not paid at all. A checkbook that was off by over $1,000. She sat there going through everything with this expression of growing concern, and I could see her doing the calculation in her head. If her mother couldn't manage basic finances anymore, what did that mean for her ability to live alone? And that's the fear, isn't it? That nursing home fear that every older person carries. Because managing money is fundamental to independent living. If you can't pay your bills, can't track your spending, can't make sense of basic financial transactions, how can you claim to be taking care of yourself? How can you argue you're capable of living alone when you can't handle something as essential as managing your own finances? She asked how long this had been going on, and I couldn't really answer. Months? Maybe longer. Time had gotten fuzzy, and so had my grasp on money. She asked if I'd been having other problems, and I had to admit, yes. Forgetting things. Getting confused. Struggling with tasks that used to be automatic. But I'd been hiding it. From her. From everyone. From myself. because admitting it meant facing what it implied about my declining capability. Do you find yourself hiding financial problems because acknowledging them feels like admitting you're failing? We spent hours that day trying to straighten out my accounts, calling companies to sort out unpaid bills and duplicate payments, reconciling my checkbook with months of bank statements. And the whole time I felt this overwhelming shame. Shame that I'd made such a mess. Shame that I needed help with something I'd handled competently for 60 years. Shame that my daughter had to step in and take care of me like I was a child. But worse than the shame was the fear. Because if I couldn't manage my money, what else was I going to lose next? The ability to make decisions about my own life, the capacity to live independently, the right to stay in my own home. Financial incompetence is how you end up with someone else controlling your accounts, with guardians and conservators, with all your autonomy stripped away because you proved you couldn't be trusted with it. She suggested we set up automatic bill payments. Take the manual tracking out of it. Let the bank handle it so I didn't have to remember or manage or risk forgetting. And part of me was relieved, but part of me felt like I was surrendering, giving up another piece of independence, admitting I couldn't do something adults are supposed to be able to do. We also talked about her getting access to my accounts. Not to control them, she said, just to monitor, to make sure bills were getting paid, to catch errors before they became disasters, to have oversight so I didn't end up in serious financial trouble. And I knew it made sense. I knew I needed help. But it felt like giving away control, like taking the first step toward having someone else make all my decisions. Have you had to give up financial control? Let someone else handle what you used to manage yourself? The really frightening part was realizing I'd been making financial decisions while confused. I'd signed up for services I didn't remember agreeing to, made purchases I didn't recall, possibly given money to scammers who'd called claiming to be from the bank or the government. My daughter found charges on my credit card for things that made no sense, companies I'd never heard of, amounts that seemed random, and I had no memory of any of it. That's when we talked about more serious changes, about simplifying my financial life, closing extra accounts, canceling credit cards, setting up a trust with her as trustee, moving toward a system where I had less opportunity to make mistakes because I had less direct control. And every suggestion felt like another nail in the coffin of my independence. Another step toward being treated like I couldn't be trusted with my own life. But the alternative was worse. The alternative was continuing down the path I'd been on, accumulating debt from unpaid bills, losing services because I forgot to pay for them, possibly being scammed out of my savings, creating financial chaos that would eventually force intervention anyway, but in a more catastrophic way. At least this way I still had some choice. Some say in how it happened. My son set up a system where he gets copies of my bank statements, not to control my money, but to spot problems, to notice if bills aren't getting paid or if there are suspicious charges, to be a safety net catching mistakes before they destroy me financially. And I agreed because I had to. Because elderly living alone without financial oversight had already proven dangerous for me. Because I'd already demonstrated I couldn't be trusted to manage this alone anymore. It's been 2 months now. My bills are getting paid automatically. My daughter monitors my accounts. I have much less financial responsibility and much less financial freedom. And it's working. No more late notices, no more duplicate payments, no more chaos, but also no more feeling like a competent adult managing her own affairs. Just the slow surrender of autonomy that comes with aging and losing capability. I'm learning that when managing money becomes confusing, that's not just about finances. That's about cognitive decline, about losing the ability to track complex information, about your mind not being reliable enough to handle important responsibilities, and recognizing that getting help before financial disaster strikes, that's how you protect what independence remains, even if it means giving up some control to maintain the rest. If bills are confusing you, if you're making financial mistakes, if managing money has stopped making sense, please hear what I'm saying. This is serious. This is about more than money. This is about whether you can safely manage your own life. And hiding it, pretending you're fine, letting problems accumulate until crisis forces intervention, that's how you lose everything. There's still time to set up help. There's still time to simplify your finances, get oversight, build systems that compensate for declining capability. But there's not unlimited time. And waiting until you've destroyed yourself financially, until you've proven you can't be trusted, that's when others make all decisions for you. That's when you lose all control. So please, be honest about your financial struggles. Are bills getting paid? Do your accounts make sense? Can you track your money? Because those capabilities matter. They're how you prove you can still manage alone. And when they fail, you need help before everything collapses. If this resonated with you, if you're struggling with finances, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment about your experience, because you're not alone. Hit the like button if this felt real. We need to talk about financial decline. We need to get help before disaster strikes. That's something I'm learning one managed bill at a time.